Okay, so let's get into the Shopify website building portion of the course. And for this website, I think I'm going to go ahead and use the Acne patches I talked about earlier to build a store around that, since I already know that it's a successful product and I already know how to build a successful website for that product. I mean, because I've already had experience with the product, I feel like I can do a much better job of teaching you guys how to build a website around something that I've already done previously. I'm going to start from complete scratch here. When you go on Shopify.com, you're greeted with this homepage. You want to go ahead and press start free trial. Okay, so you're going to have to type in an email address, create a password, and then enter a store name. And a few quick things about choosing a store name: you got to make sure that it sounds nice and it's easy to remember. You don't want people to read it and have doubts in their minds of how they can pronounce that. You want it to be very clear and very easy to pronounce, and again, that's going to help people remember it. You also want to make sure that nobody else has that name for their company yet. And the thing is, even if nobody has a company named exactly what you want to name it, what you want to do is go on Instagram and try to make an account with the name you want to go with. You want to make sure that your company name has a username that's available for it without any underscores or periods, just your clean username without anything else. And then the next thing you want to do is check if that domain is available, and I'll show you guys how you can do that later in the video when we actually buy a domain. And so with all of this in mind, I decided to go with Pimple Patches. It sounds nice, easy to pronounce. I secured the Instagram username, and I think I'm going to be able to get the domain name for it. Oh, and one more tip about deciding on a name: a tool that I use that's a huge help for me is thesaurus.com. I mean, say I wanted to name my company Zit Patches, but then I went on Instagram, that username was taken. So what I would then go do is put in Zit in the thesaurus and see what words mean the same thing. Then I would find pimple and I'd have Pimple Patches, or the other way around. Maybe I put in patches, but Pimple Patches was taken, and then I could find a synonym for patches. So, I mean, that might be a super obvious tip to some of you guys, but I'll be honest, I sometimes forget about it and forget to use it, but it's there. I'd recommend you guys use it. It's free. It's really good. Okay, start free trial. And before you get into your store, Shopify is going to ask you a few questions here. They're not too important or anything like that. It's then going to ask you for your address. So you want to enter your address and then hit enter my store. Okay, so here we are. We have a Shopify account. Now let's get into designing the actual website. So the first thing I basically always do is you want to go on online store, go on themes, and select a different theme. Now you could use the default debut theme, but I mean, so many people use it. You kind of want to differentiate yourself from other dropshipping stores. So I would recommend selecting one of Shopify's other free themes that they have. So here are the free ones, and for this one, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Brooklyn theme over here, go with this classic style, hit add to theme library. Now that you've added the theme, you want to go ahead and publish it so that it's going to be the one that pops up instead of the regular debut theme. Okay, and now we can actually go ahead and customize the store. First up, what you want to do is switch the view to the mobile view, just because you basically don't have to worry about the desktop view when you're creating your Shopify website. I mean, we're going to be advertising through Instagram influencers and Facebook ads, and when I look at my analytics for my Shopify stores, it says that 99% of the people who go on the store actually view it for mobile, and it makes a lot of sense because, I mean, who goes on Instagram or Facebook on the computer nowadays? So don't even stress about the desktop view, just go ahead and switch over to the mobile view right away. Okay, so when you're working with the Brooklyn theme or a lot of the themes, they have the first homepage thing as a slideshow. I would recommend that you don't make it a slideshow, but instead make it one single image. So to do that, just go ahead and go to the second slide and hit remove content. And there you go. Now it's not going to be a slideshow. It's just going to be a nice, clean one image. Then you want to go ahead and go back and remove basically all of the little sections they have here stock. So go ahead, remove section, collection list, remove section, featured collection, remove section, newsletter, remove section. Then you want to go ahead and click add section and then scroll down to the featured product part, hit that, hit add. And we're going to add a product later, so don't worry about this for right now. Just go ahead and go back. And then you also want to go ahead and actually add back that the newsletter sign up. I accidentally deleted that. Let's go ahead and add that back. For the heading of it, you can write something like why pay full price. And then for the subheading, let's go ahead and write okay, so something along the lines of enter your email below to receive discount codes, giveaways, updates, and more directly to your inbox. Now we're going to go ahead and scroll up and work on this first page over here. So for the slideshow, that's no longer a slideshow, that's just one still image. We're going to go ahead and want to put a really nice picture here. So what you don't want to do is go on Google Images and find something cool there, just because most of the photos on Google Images are going to be copyrighted. So if you want to play it safe and you don't want to run into any legal troubles, what I would recommend doing is going on a website called Pixel, or sorry, it's Pexels with an E instead of the I. But this website just basically gives you free stock photos. So we're selling a skincare product on this website, so I'm going to go ahead and search up and see what they have for skincare. I mean, as you can see right off the bat, you got a lot of very high quality images that you can use for free, which is really cool. Okay, so I found this image right here. I think if we crop it vertically, it's gonna look really cool. I mean, this looks super professional, and I think we can use that pink background to actually use that as one of our main colors for the whole website, and gonna have a theme revolving around that color. So let's go ahead and download this, free download. So I mean, this website is great. All these free images, free content you can use for your store, copyright free. If you're just starting out, this is a huge asset if you can't actually go out and get your own content. But anyways, let's go ahead and use that image we just downloaded to add that to our slide. Select image. And I'm just gonna go ahead and drag it over here. 30 megapixel. So I loaded this image into Photoshop, and if you don't have Photoshop, I highly recommend that you get it. I mean, learning Photoshop is such a useful skill nowadays, even outside of e-commerce. If you can afford it, I would definitely recommend getting into Photoshop. It's absolutely great. I would even go as far as saying it's one of the biggest factors in the reason why I was successful with e-commerce. But if you don't want to get into Photoshop and you don't want to pay for Photoshop, you can actually use something called Canva. It's this website right over here. And it's kind of like a simpler to use version of Photoshop online. You don't have to download anything. And the best thing is they have a free 30-day trial. So if you want to try that out, you can go ahead and use that as kind of a Photoshop replacement. But I strongly recommend that you learn how to use Photoshop. I mean, it's such a powerful tool. So let's hop back into Photoshop. And the only thing I want to do to this photo is actually trim it vertically so that we can upload it into Shopify, sorry. Okay, so let's see how that's gonna work. File, save as. Okay, so I'm gonna hit upload image. Okay, so I mean, this is already looking pretty nice, but I think I want more pink on the top. I don't want her head to be cut off by the pimple patches, so I'm gonna hop it back into Photoshop real quick and edit the crop. So let's hit change here and upload the new version. Okay, so I feel like that looks a little better. Let's go ahead and hit select. Okay, so let's go ahead and scroll down over here and choose this overlay opacity to 0%. Or actually, let's boost it up a little to 10. Okay, that looks good. And for this subheading, let's see, what can we write here? So I put no more popping because, you know, these patches are going to make it so you don't have to pop your pimples. And I think that looks pretty cool. So we'll just go ahead and run with no more popping. Okay, now we got to do something about this font. It doesn't look very nice. So let's head into theme settings, go into typography, hit change. And you can go ahead and play around with different fonts. The font I'm going to go with is called Lotto. It's a nice, simple font. Honestly, your whole goal of selecting a font is to make sure that people don't notice the font. So, I mean, you don't want to use anything super fancy, intricate. You want to use something simple that looks nice and clean and just overall a very simplistic look. And then you want to scroll down and switch the body text to, again, the same font. You don't want to have a bunch of different fonts on your website. And then again, same with the accent text, switch that to whatever font you choose. Okay, now back in the theme settings, let's go ahead and hit colors and play around with these. You absolutely don't want to have a bunch of colors all throughout your website. I would recommend sticking to 3. So we're going to go ahead and do black, white, and then probably this shade of pink that we have on this front image here. So let's hit link and accents and try to find that pink color. Okay, so there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and go back to sections and go to the front page, and let's do something about this front header here. So first of all, I would recommend you remove the announcement, at least for now. Show announcement, remove that. And now for this top header, you want to go ahead and add in a logo. So you can do a couple things here. You can go ahead and hire somebody on Fiverr to create a logo for you. It can be very cheap. I mean, people will do it for like $5 a pop. Or you can go ahead and design your own logo if you think you're capable of doing so. And a very simple way to create a nice looking logo is to just play around with the font of this top header. That's the only font where I would recommend you can do something creative, something very exquisite, and that looks very different and stands out. The other fonts on your website, you want to keep them very simple. And something you can do to find really cool fonts is to just go ahead and go on Google and type in royalty-free fonts and see what you can find. Okay, and when you do find a font, you want to save it in 2 different colors. You want one black and one white. For the homepage logo, you want to go ahead and put in the white logo. And then for the regular logo, go ahead and put in the black logo. So I already have that saved here. And the reason you want 2 colors is, as you can see on the homepage, you want the white one so it would match the cart and the little settings menu here. And when you go on, let's say, a product page, or let's go into the catalog here, you can see here that if you had the white logo, it would just blend in with the header. So you want the black logo over here. And the other thing you want to do with your little font logo is make sure you save a separate file with just the first letter of the font. So in this case, it would be P, because when we go into theme settings and then we hit favicon, you want to select image and put in that first initial. And what this actually is as you can see on my screen here, you see how the Shopify has this little logo here. Pexels also has this little logo. That's called the favicon. And you don't have to worry about this, not too many people will even look at it, but if you want to look professional, I would recommend adding the first initial of your store name. Okay, so the next step is you want to go into the checkout portion and add your logo to the checkout page. It's going to make things look a lot more professional if you have that there, and you want to use the black version of the logo for this. Oh, actually, sorry, one more step you want to do is go on the cart page, and instead of the drawer, enable the page. Okay, so I actually can't show you the checkout page just yet because we haven't added a product yet, but let's go back to checkout. You want to scroll down to the colors and switch this accents to one of the 3 colors you chose earlier. I'm going to go with the pink. Buttons, we'll keep the buttons black, and the errors, let's just go ahead and make them completely red. Okay, so we're almost finished here. Just a couple of things I want to do for this store specifically. I don't really like how that Pimple Patches font really contrasts with this simple No More Popping font, so I think I'm going to go ahead and add another image under this first one. Go under image, hit image with text. Okay, go back or hit add. I'm going to hit select image and actually found one that one of the sellers provides that looks really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and add that one in. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and go back. And over here, you can actually order things the way you want them to be. So I'm going to put this one up on top under the slideshow. And then I'm going to go ahead and add section, get some text going, add text. And I'm going to put this text in between the slideshow and the image with text. And then let's edit this, remove this paragraph. Okay, and this is where I'm going to put no more popping. Okay, now let's go back and remove the no popping from the slideshow. And now we can actually put the overlay opacity to 0. Okay, so I really like how this looks. It's very high quality, looks professional, looks like a real brand. The only thing I don't like though is how they edited this image. They kind of made the girl look dead. So I'm gonna probably go ahead and edit that real quick to, give her some life. So I'll go into Photoshop, hit adjustments here and boost the saturation. Okay, that looks pretty good. Save as. This picture is kind of tricky just because it's not very high quality to begin with, but I think this is gonna look better. Okay, that's too dark. Okay, that'll do. Okay, so we got the front image looking good, no more popping. Then we got this. Now let's actually go into the text and describe the product a little bit. So let's hit select for that image. Okay, so this is what I added. You can pause the screen and read through it if you like, but it's just something to kind of relate to the customer and help convince them to purchase the product. So, I mean, this is looking pretty good for now. Let's go ahead and save. Okay, I actually took a quick break here, made some coffee. Cheers, guys. Let's get on with the design. Next thing you want to do is actually hit the Shopify logo over here, which will lead you back to outside of this designing little thing they have. So although we're done with the design of the website, we still got some stuff we got to do in the back end. So first up, let's go ahead and create the product page. So to make a product page, we got to add a product. So what you would do is hit products. This will pop up and you want to hit add product. Title it, whatever your product is titled. And then you would go ahead and proceed with the description. Okay, so I tapped it out. Here's what we got so far. If you want to pause the video and read through it, feel free to do so. But we got some text going on over here. And then I also found a diagram online that kind of goes with what we're selling here. And a big thing that you don't want to forget if you're selling a product that has multiple pieces is you want to add in how many pieces come when somebody buys the product. And to find that out, you first got to find a supplier on AliExpress. So I'm going to go ahead and go with these guys. They got 1,000 orders, 28 reviews. They look legit, and they said that they ship 24 pieces with every order. So I put each pack comes with 24 individual patches. And by the way, adding some sort of image or diagram or even a GIF inside of your product description is going to do wonders. It's going to make it look a lot more professional.